Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, game number 2 here between DDE and KiWiKaKi. Last game, KiWiKaKi sitting at a vastly stronger economy than what DDE had, and without much aggression at all from DDE, KiWiKaKi, even after losing the bulk of his army in the first large engagement that we saw, was able to quickly reinforce and win pretty much without issue. So DDE, hopefully this game, decides to play a little bit more aggressive, stop KiWiKaKi from getting an absurd economy like we saw last time. One of the biggest things, too, is that KiWiKaKi last game moved into a very quick fourth, which DDE did nothing about. I'm 100% certain it's because he didn't scout it at all, and that just goes back to, hey, why it's so important to scout, because if you don't even know that your opponent has a fourth, there's really nothing you can do to take care of it. So it looks like KiWiKaKi will be starting off on some one-base play here, at the very least opening up 1 gate into expand or 3 gate into expand. I expect some sort of somewhat relatively quick expand build from KiWiKaKi, given the size of the map, but also more importantly, given the position here. DDE sitting straight cross-positional, pretty much at the furthest possible point here on this map, and this is going to allow him to kind of comfortably expand and not be all too concerned about that possible early aggression, or just be in the position where he's, able to defend himself enough, even with the small forces that he may have from a 1 or a 3 gate opening. KiWiKaKi first checking that upper right position. In fact, I didn't even mention, yes, we do have KiWiKaKi here in the upper left position as our yellow Protoss player, and bottom right is 6jax DDE as our blue Terran player. Now, what else did I want to say? Oh, yes, Tal'Darim Altar. That's the other thing that's important to mention. Very interesting here, DDE opening up a refinery first and then dropping his racks. The whole purpose of this is he's going to be allowed, he's going to be able to afford, the second that this barracks finishes, to drop his factory right away. So clearly teching up relatively quickly is the name of the game here for DDE. So not, as a result, going for a very fast expansion. So once more, we'll be interested to see what he decides to open up with here now. We can see right now KiWiKaKi finally moving in. Really, unfortunately, not much of a way for him to tell, though, what time this refinery was dropped, just because even if this was a 12 racks 13, oh no, you know what? He probably knows that this racks is late. So there we go. Spotting the fact that the racks should be complete by now, but isn't, is probably going to tip him off that there's a quick refinery, and there we go, actually. Fully aware now because that factory is getting dropped regardless anyways. DDE knows the facts that KiWiKaKi is aware of what's going on based on that scouting information, so I didn't even bother trying to hide that factory, given that fact. Right now we do have the SCV scout moving on up. He will be first checking that upper right position, it looks like, and then moving on into upper left. Cybernex Code coming on through. Just the 1 gas right now here for KiWiKaKi, so he's just sitting on 1 assimilator. Hasn't dropped that second one quite as of yet. Back over here inside of the main, what is this? It is a reactor, so a Hellion opening, quite possible. He could also be going Marine tank quickly. That's another option as well, just pumping up Marines out of that reactor and getting tanks out of that factory. And again, he may be trying a timing push that I mentioned was possible last game. We'll have to see. And no, here comes the hot swap, so will in fact be a Hellion opening. So opening up with some Hellion aggression, trying to do some economic damage early on, and then working his way up until whatever he has planned next. So here we go, double Hellions coming right on through. Hopefully we see another depot get placed soon. There we go, because he would hit a supply block relatively quickly. Those double Hellions will get you at a supply block very, very fast. Tech Lab coming out here on this racks as well. SCV Scout moving on in. We'll be spotting that Zealot and Stalker. Also checking that Robo. Very nice scout there by DDE. Managed to catch the Robo there that KiWiKaKi was coming down with. Would have been maybe advantageous for that Robo to be placed up here. Would have prevented that scout from going down, but I don't know that KiWiKaKi is all that concerned. Again, keep in mind, he is aware that there's something fancy going on at some point soon, and here comes that secondary scout to check that very thing. Now we have 1 Marine spotting up front. Now as long as DDE is paying full attention, if he's paying 100% attention and starts microing this right away to try to strafe and stay with that probe, then he should be able to kill it no problem before it actually moves on in for that scout. And actually here's a Hellion, and this will certainly prevent that from happening, but at the same time KiWiKaKi now sees the Hellions. He saw the Hellion, the fact that it killed off his worker, so now he knows what to expect. What is he going to be coming out with? Looks like an Observer first. We've got a Sentry coming on through as well. Right now sitting on 2 Stalkers as well as that Zealot, moving up front to try to prevent those Hellions from pushing on in. We've got 4 to start. We've got some more coming on out as well. There's 2 actually coming through, so we'll be sitting at 6 Hellions. So here comes that 6 Hellion push, as well as this expansion. Hellions trying to move on in, getting blocked a little bit by those units, trying to micro back, do as much damage as they can to those Hellions. That 1 Hellion very, very low. And how's KiWiKaKi being able to spot? Oh my gosh, that full wall off. DDE went in the exact opposite direction that he needed to. A full wall off over here for KiWiKaKi. Prevented from doing much, but oh no! All the workers clumped up! And DDE, oh my gosh. Unfortunately, KiWiKaKi force fielding his own workers in a terrible position and just getting roasted there. That went perfectly for DDE. Absolutely perfect. He's got a couple more Hellions. Those will be trying to sneak on in. See if he can do any damage. That was just unreal. Again, we saw DDE move up wasn't able to push in this side because KiWiKaKi had formed that very nice wall, but then in dropping a force field to try to prevent those Hellions from going in this direction, Hellions just swung up the backside, and all of these workers were completely trapped. Let's take a look here at the unit loss tab. Oh, that is so devastating. KiWiKaKi losing a ton of resources in comparison to DDE, but most importantly, a lot of what he has lost has been workers. Let's take a look at the current total worker count. Only 18 probes, 19 probes as opposed to the 26 SCVs here. At the same time, DDE has finished that expansion. DDE, very nice aggressive opening, and this is setting himself up for success right now. This is just absolutely perfect. This is what he needed to do. That nice early game aggression really set him ahead, and the fact that he's now got this expansion up and is going to start working to get that saturated really is pretty phenomenal for him. Now KiWiKaKi spotting out here with that observer. You can actually somewhat see that. Very difficult to see when it's sitting idly though. Once it's moving like that though, fully available to see. So hopefully he tries to do something about that and get rid of this observer. Even killing off that observer is worth the scan because it does cost a lot of SPN as well. So certainly set your opponent behind if you can get that. And obviously the biggest advantage is that you deny that scouting. That's clearly the most important part. Now it looks like we will be factory heavy here, so going for a mech style play. Also have that starport coming on through. KiWiKaKi trying to get up this expansion for himself. Right now still just sitting on these 3 gateways as well as that robo. Looks like he will be coming out with some immortals. He has spotted those double factories, so he does know to expect some sort of mech heavy play, and this is as a result his response is going to be doing what he's doing just right now, getting some immortals. So very interesting indeed. That's going to help him deal with these tanks pretty much no problem. Doesn't help that much against the Hellions, in all honesty. Hellions being a light unit, again, you want those immortals against those heavy units. Marauders, siege tanks, Thors even, all do fairly well against them. So something to keep in mind, most certainly for your own play at home. I try to drop little hints and tips every now and then for you guys, and I don't know if it's actually all that helpful for most of you, but anyways, that's enough of that. KiWiKaKi with that observer scout at the front. He will be seeing when DDE does decide to push out at the same time. We do have DDE grabbing the towers over here, so DDE himself will be fully aware of when KiWiKaKi pushes out. Now, with that said, I do not expect any type of aggression from KiWiKaKi anytime soon, given the fact that he is so far behind economically. Taking a look at those resources gathering tabs right now, very low right now for KiWiKaKi in comparison to what DDE is sitting at. And here we go, Blue Flame Hellion drop moving across the map right now for DDE. So DDE getting ready to try to lay down some more economic damage against KiWiKaKi. And unless KiWiKaKi somehow spots this proxy pylon could be his savior in terms of scouting the fact that this is coming. Obviously, we are going to be seeing DDE avoiding the range of that Xel'Naga tower, although he has that Xel'Naga tower, so that makes no difference. But anyways, trying to circumvent around the side. This is going to help him deal with any possible observer placement as well. So that's actually a statement that is true. And then he does also want to be careful about moving up against his third, although I guess if this was up and saturated, that this drop would be effective there as well. But he's going to be just bypassing that. Obviously, as we can see, KiWiKaKi doesn't have this, and he's going to be moving right on up, and this is very dangerous for KiWiKaKi in all honesty. This could be another very big loss for him. I am a little bit concerned right now for KiWiKaKi. The bulk of his forces sitting right up here at his natural. He will only need to warp in a few units to actually be able to take care of this. We got a robotics bay coming out, and actually with this drop, DDE will be scouting that out as well. So trying to harass a little bit in the front as a distraction, and at the same time, here comes a drop in the back, and he's not aware of it yet, and here come those Blue Flame Hellions, and KiWiKaKi going to be taking some massive losses right now. Micro forward, stay with those workers. Oh, DDE just tearing through KiWiKaKi's forces, getting trapped there a little bit. Those Hellions should pull back to that medevac. DDE, there we go, finally pulling back with those. What is he doing? You are a crazy fool, sir. You need to pull back with those Hellions. He got a Hellions coming from the other side. That's what was happening. Oh my gosh, he was microing Hellions from the other side and just tearing through more of the workers at this expansion. Oh, DDE just laid the smackdown right there. KiWiKaKi's expansion got absolutely devastated, as well as his main, just taking massive amounts of losses. Look at those resources lost. Let's take a look at the income as well. KiWiKaKi's income, almost nothing right now. He's so low on the worker count, 27 probes as opposed to the 56 SCVs. So right now DDE in a commanding position. He's got this expansion coming on through as well. He should just be able to mass up some forces and push out within the next couple of minutes, and there should be really nothing that KiWiKaKi can do. KiWiKaKi, again, with the mass, I'm actually, in all honesty, I give him credit for sticking in the game, but I am surprised that he hasn't just called the GG right now, because he is that far behind at this point in the game. He is just, that is devastating. I feel really bad for KiWiKaKi, but you know what? big applause go to DDE, because that was some fantastic Blue Flame Hellion play, and that was the aggression that was missing last game that caused him to lose, and that luckily he does have this game. So here we go, going to be doing another Blue Flame Hellion drop, this time just going straight for that natural. The Force is distracted by some Hellions again at the front, so DDE hitting from multiple angles, allowing him to do a little bit more economic damage with these drops. He's going to be forced to push back right now. He actually didn't kill off too many workers, but even stopping mining momentarily is huge. And the fact that he's actually getting away with this medevac right now, that's another big gain as well. Didn't lose that medevac, got that third up. The economy, fantastic. DDE is in for the win right now. There's really little, you know, KiWiKaKi needs to respond with some devastating damage to be able to have a chance right now. We got those Hellions moving back into here, into the main, but that was spotted luckily by KiWiKaKi from that pylon placement. Was fully aware of what was going on. We do have this third expansion right now up for KiWiKaKi. Saturation pretty dismal at all of those bases, as expected though. He's taken so many losses in terms of workers, and again, that is evident if we look at that economy just once more. KiWiKaKi is just so outmatched right now, in all honesty, in this particular game, at the least, is what I'm trying to say. Dropping again inside of the main. Those Hellions going to be getting some more free kills here. I don't know why the Hellion moved up in that direction, but there we go. Those Hellions just working through this pro count, and you know what? KiWiKaKi is just getting worked by these Blue Flame Hellions constantly throughout the entirety of this game, and wow, that's a lot more coming on up from that direction. Actually going to be taking out the Stalker. That's something you don't typically see. Hellions typically a little afraid of Stalkers, but I suppose when you have this many Hellions, a single Stalker isn't all that much of a concern. So yeah, just been a very unfortunate game for KiWiKaKi. It's not impossible, it's just not probable is the thing. KiWiKaKi needed to have done some damage, and he's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing because he's been too busy defending himself against those Blue Flame Hellion drops. And again, DDE, kudos goes to him. Going to be sticking with this super mech heavy play. Hellions and tanks look to be the name of the game. I do not know if we have any Thors out at all. No, we do not. Just Hellions and tanks, also throwing in some Vikings into the mix to deal with those Colossus. So very, very interesting unit composition here, but apparently this is going to be looking to do pretty well. I can't imagine that this is not going to go well for DDE right now. Again, he's got a massive army advantage right now, 122 as opposed to 63. He's still, of course, got that massive economy advantage. So here comes that push right now. Hellions leading the way. We got a huge tank line sieging up right now. That should be forcing those units back, walking into a few shells of those tanks. So again, forced to push back. One big thing DDE needs to do is he needs to get some forward vision and know when this push is coming and when it's not. There we go, dropping the scan, allowing him to take out that observer. And oh, so much shell damage coming from those tanks against KiWiKaKi's forces. KiWiKaKi just took massive damage there. It looks like there's no counter, no response at all going on. And there we go, Siege Line moving forward. And you know what? The fact that DDE just severely outnumbers, it doesn't even really matter if he gets caught on siege. Dropping that Colossus incredibly quickly, working through the rest of the army and forcing KiWiKaKi to call the GG. DDE opened up this game with a fast factory, allowing him to get some quick Hellion. The Hellion push came at the 6-minute mark, DDE moving out with those 4 Hellions. Now with some quick response time, KiWiKaKi was able to drop the gateway on this side and prevent the Hellions from pushing in from that direction. With 1 Hellion down, there's only 3 left, but DDE managing to sneak around, and very unfortunate situation for KiWiKaKi, his own force field trapping his workers in and caused him some very heavy early game losses. DDE took advantage of KiWiKaKi's early game setback that he took from that Hellion harass, worked his way into an expansion, and then prepared for an additional Hellion drop follow-up. DDE used some Hellions to push and distract at the front of KiWiKaKi's base, and then at the same time he dropped right into the main, and with these Blue Flame upgrades he was able to absolutely tear through the worker count of KiWiKaKi. While KiWiKaKi was dealing with the Hellions inside of his main, DDE pushed with some more Hellions inside of the natural and was able to do yet more economic damage to KiWiKaKi. At this point in the game, KiWiKaKi was very, very far behind DDE. DDE once again took advantage of his lead and went for a 3rd expansion. DDE then worked his way up to a massive mech army, pushing out with tanks and Blue Flame Hellions. He then played the leapfrog game with his tanks and slowly pushed forward towards KiWiKaKi's base, and unfortunately being forced to engage here, KiWiKaKi lost the rest of his army and was forced to call the GG. Alright, pretty nuts game number 2 here between KiWiKaKi and DDE. Again, we saw some very nice aggression and Hellion drops from DDE. Absolutely perfectly played. Unfortunately enough for KiWiKaKi, ends up losing this game. Now we will be moving on to game number 3 in just one moment. As always, guys, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.